Demi Lardner joins us as always. And Demi, what's your MPT for this week?
Oh no! I didn't get one ready! Oh no! Oh, magic pissing tournament.
Magic.
Is that okay?
That's perfect, Demi. That's beautiful. So this is a show where we, as I've said, try and build you a one-shot adventure. The four of us are going to do our very best this time because do you know what I did, Dave Harmon?
What did you do?
Well, I felt a little bit bad that we hadn't really delivered on our promises that we'd made to our people that these were going to be playable games. So I stole this from your house the last time I was here.
Oh, I also stole something from your house. I'll apologise later.
Okay.
Is it medication?
No, you go on. You go on. No, mine's too big and weird.
Mirror, I need
Mine's
to
too big and
know.
weird. Mine's too big and weird. Don't worry.
Dave, I left something in your house. And if you can find it, you can stop it.
I think that's what I stole.
Oh, okay. Well, then
So that all makes sense now. We're clear.
yeah.
I need to know what this is, otherwise I'm going to assume you were so weird about it that my assumption. Do you know what my assumption right now is? It was that you stole a turd from his toilet.
It was Demi's fart bomb that she left.
right,
And
yeah.
triggered.
Well,
I left a fart bomb.
You have two little boys. Why did you?
I actually, you know what I got my children for Christmas?
What?
Was a remote control robot called Fartbot that you can drive under a chair and then press the button and then it farts.
And when you buy
then
this
it laughs
Sounds like-
maniacally.
God, that is-
when
and
you
it
buy this
fucking
robot?
sucks so much.
That is on you.
It came broken, so it didn't move around. It just farted and laughed maniacally.
the fart robot is a joke in 30 Rock.
Oh
Of
yeah,
the
it is.
stupidest possible.
It
Costs $38.
Hey guys,
the fart
we're
robot?
94% of the way to a hype train.
Oh my god.
Oh, ding, ding!
Oh,
All
shit.
aboard!
Retro haberdashery, cats of Baruthiel I saw, and before that I was getting a coffee, but there were probably some other follows and subscribes. 28 months from Cats of Baruthiel, so thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Now, what I was saying was that I stole this book from your house. It's from our friends at...
Medium. Hearing Shaq laugh in the next room. It's not my job, but it's Media Lab Books.
Media Lab Books. They gave this... So this is like the Man Grill. And so I read some one-shots. Because did you know... Did you know, Dave, that when I had this idea for this thing,
Yeah.
I'd played one-shots
Yeah.
that you'd written, and I'd written a few myself with you.
Yeah.
But the way that we write one-shots is we go to a pub,
Yeah.
and we drink about a bottle of wine each,
Yeah.
and then I think you at some point...
I think the next day I write a one shot.
Yeah. So
They're lovely trips to the pub.
I just kept thinking I've done this heaps of times before, but what I did is I took this great book from our friends at the Man Grill, and I read some one-shots, and now I think I have a better understanding of what we're trying to build.
What was your take home from the book?
Do you know what my take-home was, David?
This book, by the way, is the Game Master's Book of Random Encounters, which was given to us as a gift. So
We used that for Beef Babes.
we did. We used the Prison Silence and Beef Babes was based off one of these, but
Sorry, some people in the chat are asking why I'm talking about the Man Grill. There is a Norm Macdonald, the late great Norm Macdonald, who died kind of recently, had a sort of like a pre-run at Twitch. It was like a live internet show, and he was sponsored by this company called the Man Grill, and they ended up pulling their sponsorship because his reads were so bad. And if you just Google Norm Macdonald Man Grill, there's a supercut of every time he promotes it. And one of my favorite is he's talking to Andy Dick, and he's like, Andy, Father's Day's coming up. Do you have a father? Is your father still alive? And Dick's like, no. He's like, well, how about your mother? She could like that. My mother's also dead. Fucking hell, is anyone in your family still fucking alive? Anyway, also when he says to somebody, have you heard of the Man Grill? And one of his guests is like, I actually have. He's like, you have? Anyway, so I read this book, some of it, a bit of it.
you had COVID. You had a lot of time on your hands.
Yeah. I read this book, and so what I think we're going to do for this one is we're going to spend some time at the top, and we're going to be talking about the theme, like we always do, talk about what we like, what we don't, make a decision about what sort of story we're going to tell, and then, my friends, we're going to do this encounter by encounter. I want this to be a 4-encounter one-shot.
Yeah, right.
And we're going to work out each of the 4 encounters. If it helps you, if you're somebody who's watching this who likes it for the story, not for the game design, and honestly, if you like it for the game design, then what are you doing? You can think of these. You can think of these as acts. If you like.
That helps me so much.
That's
Ben.
great.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Because then
I was going to struggle.
your
I think
little
an
theatre brain.
Encounter in a book, in an act movie, it's a scene in a film generally.
Yeah, it's a scene. So that's what we're going to do. Now, the very first thing that I got to tell you and the audience is that the
You could say anything at this moment. I'm really quite excited.
is that the theme, the area, the genre, the micro genre, whatever you want to call it, that we're going to be doing our story in is haunted house.
Haunted house.
Haunted house.
You said that to me. What does that mean exactly?
It's a house.
That was sweet. That was seamless, Dave. So good. Oh, move on.
Yes. No,
Get my
Any
ass.
attempt to just move this fucking thing?
Hold on a moment, Ben. Are you telling me that this house is haunted in this economy? No. We've already kind of we've sort of skirted around the edges of haunted house on Mr. Pooh's Toilet. We've done eldritch horror. We've done kind of monster stuff. This kind of combines a lot of those things. I started thinking about haunted house because I was reading Shirley Jackson's The Haunting of Hill House, which is a kind of seminal haunted house text and one of the horniest books ever written by anyone.
Just bark there, Demi? Little bark?
No, I asked, was that a book?
It was
And
a
I think
book.
it came out as a bird call instead.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was a book. I love that show.
Yeah, it was a book. The guy who made it into a
I made a book out of it.
I
Wow.
think it was a different order to that, but
No.
okay. This was Demi. This is a book written in like the
Is this a
50s.
sequel to The Lightning Thief? Or
Yeah,
not?
Percy Jackson. You're thinking it's Percy Jackson.
Oh, Percy Jackson. This was written in like the 50s or 60s by Shirley Jackson in a time when you simply could not write about women being horny for each other.
So you just have to write about somebody entering a haunted house?
Basically, that's like most of the book. There's very little spooking in this book. It's a great book, and it's
Entering haunted house, leaving, entering again,
Leaving.
faster and faster.
the house is getting very damp.
A train goes into a tunnel into a haunted house.
But it's good. I would recommend it. I sometimes recommend books on this podcast.
What was the horniest part of the book, Ben?
Just a lot of longing. You know what I mean? There's no like one moment where you're like, yowza! But you sort of leave the, I don't know if the chat has read it, but back me up so I don't sound like a pervert. It's like, you know what
This
this
is very chaste. In fact, I like the idea of, if I have to picture you horny,
Uh-huh.
I prefer to picture you horny from longing in a romantic way.
Yeah.
Staring out at the sea and just furiously jerking it off a cliff.
It's like, I've just asserted that it's a very horny lesbian book, just as if it's a thing. Do you ever do that where you just have something in your head that you think everybody, and so you just, like, I was at dinner with my wife the other day, and we were talking about something not related to JFK or the CIA,
Uh-huh.
and I just like threw it out there as like a, not as like a let's talk about this, but in like a, well, they killed JFK sort of thing. Because I thought we'd kind of reach
You
consensus.
discover that not everybody agrees with that.
Like, she was furious. Not out of any kind of loyalty to the CIA, but just because she explained later that she really hated the idea of having a husband that thought that the CIA killed JFK.
I thought it was an okay thing to say to Anya Pachansky.
I clarified that it was also the New Orleans mob.
Yeah, it was the mob. It was the mob that killed JFK. That's not the same thing. You can't just say that the
mob is-
government and the mob are
Who's
the same
funding
thing.
the? Who's channeling the drugs through the mob? It's the CIA.
CIA and the mob. I mean, you listen to Ghost Stories at the End of the World, which are fairly.
Random encounters, man
Yeah.
grill.
So anyway, the haunted house. I don't want to be too prescriptive about this because, like, since Shirley Jackson, a lot of like
Lightning thief.
Since Shirley Jackson, Lightning Thief, a lot of haunted house stories tend to go a similar way. A family moves in to a haunted house. They discover it's haunted.
Oh, this is the Simpsons thing.
Ben.
This is when you said haunted. There's a few different genre versions that involve a house, right? There's
Yeah.
like got to spend one night in a spooky house to
Yeah.
inherit it.
Yeah.
But you're talking about the Amityville Horror or the Simpsons thing. the sentient house that tries to kill you?
Well, I mean, that's a version of it where the house is malevolent, and Mo Quirk, who's a huge haunted house aficionado. Well, I was going to say aficionado, but that's an Italian word, so pervert.
It's Italian for pervert. Cigar pervert. I subscribe to the magazine.
But yeah, I mean, like, and they were saying that they like the idea of a house with agency.
Yeah.
The Haunting of Hill House doesn't really have a house with agency. Like, doors slam on their own, and
Completely unrealistic.
go,
If you know
"Wooga."
anything about ghosts, you would know that they haunt people, not places, Ben. It's been widely, well, I wouldn't say proven, but also I think I'm on a lag. I'm going to take a second and try and see if I can ask. No?
Yeah, I think they'll always get a little bit of lag. You can if you want to.
I thought I got a bigger lag then, but sorry. Okay.
well, we're
No, don't worry
not
about
bloody playing Counter-Strike. It's all right. You know what I mean?
Okay.
You're not going to get any less kills.
I don't know what Counter-Strike is.
All right. So I think that, like, the only parameters I'm really setting here are that it's a house and there is a benevolent presence. Mm-hmm. I'd also
Did you say benevolent?
yeah, sorry. I would like to
nice
make
spooky ghost.
Yeah, it's like sort of
Really
maybe a
nice
friendly
ghost that, like,
ghost.
Yeah, it kind of just refills your ice
A
trays while
real
you're in
Casper
bed.
cinch.
Yeah.
Tries
Grugstan
not
has
to be too much of a bother.
Grugstan has mentioned House of Leaves. House of Leaves is a very good book.
Oh, my mother is calling.
You want to pick it up?
No.
All right. And that has
Slade House.
Is it a Slade House?
Sorry?
Slade House?
Slade House is also a really excellent spooky story.
But is it the people that are haunted or the...
Well, this is what I want to talk about. The only other parameter I want to set on this story, guys, is that there is a malevolent force that is corporeal.
That is that has a physical body.
Yeah. So, like, an example of how this would work is our adventurers go to a haunted house as the guest of some fuckhead family.
Guest.
Sure. And the house is haunted, but also the family are cunts. Do you know what I mean? I don't want this just to be like our heroes battling ghosts.
Yeah.
Like,
so it's not the Simpsons episode where there was a house that possessed them. It's the Simpsons episode where Bart has a brother that lives in the attic.
I mean, if you like, if we have to put it through that
Name
lens.
is Hugo.
Fish heads, fish heads.
Yeah, I follow it.
Mo Quirk, Archive 81 is a good example of that, where there's spooky demon mold in the house, and there's also just a pack of cunts. So I like that. I like both of those things. I think that makes it good for play. I think that makes it good for story. I think it makes it also like more. You can be less explicit with your ghosts. I don't mean like sexually.
Well, we all know what your preference is.
I just mean, Denny said something really good in like the very first episode of this we did, where she said, with Eldritch Horror, I really like it when the fucking things motivations are kind of unknowable. I think that like so much of ghosty shit is like you do need motives and you do need backstory, but I do also like the idea that we can get some of that humanness from humans, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So those are my only two parameters, really.
Okay.
That I want it to be a house. I want this to be a contained one shot, in that we just draw a map of a house. I mean, we're not going to do that now, but I mean, it can be as big and
we can do it.
That's true.
Yeah.
It can be as big and wackadoo as you want, but I think once they get into the house, they don't leave the house until the end of the adventure. So I don't think they're going to go.
Can you clarify something for me that you said, Ben, about the motives thing?
Oh, just that, like, I think the more you try and like take a supernatural being and be like, this is why it's hunting you, the less frightening it is.
Oh yeah, but I thought you were saying that the way I understood that was that you were like, but it does need some backstory or something. I don't.
Well, I think when it comes to like haunting stuff, especially because of like I suppose the trope of hauntings is that there is a reason that it is happening. You do need like a little bit, but I also think just by having human antagonists as well, you can make your spiritual antagonists a little bit more unknowable.
I think that's cool. And also, like, didn't you like your house that you drew, Simon? What happened?
I think he just wants black for the background of his next. Is that it?
Oh, right, okay. I thought he was really angry at what he... I thought it was just... You were... I was gonna say it has Resident Evil vibes, that there's just a pack of maniacs in there, and then also like weird ghoulies.
Were you the
But,
person, Demi, that I gave my Resident Evil game to after trying to play for 20 minutes?
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it. You said you tried to play it 4 times. You said I tried to play it at night. I tried to play it sober. I tried to play it sober during the day. And I tried to play it with the sound off, and I couldn't play it.
Everyone sounds like a compromise.
Was it too scary? Or?
It's so fucking scary.
Was this the big
wanna
hat
know
lady?
what-
No, this is before the big hat lady that
Before?
everyone got horny for.
Would you like, Lady Dimitrescu? Would you like to know what made that game? I would say for me, like 10 times scarier.
Please.
Me and Tom put a Simpsons mod on the game, and every now and then one of the bosses, you would like come up to them, and I came up to a boss. I was like opening a door. It was one of those things where they just sort of, you're walking up to the door and you're just not expecting it, and they bust through the door, and it was just a fucking massive Lisa Simpson, and it was so fucking scary, dude. There was a point where there's like a level that was just bugs. It was just like bugs are coming at you and they're poisonous, and they were all Bumblebee Man. It was like really upsetting.
Grugstan just name-checked Lovecraft Country, the Haunted House episode of that, which, in a weird coincidence, I watched yesterday before I decided what the theme was. No, after I decided what the theme was.
Yeah.
And then it was just a little bit of serendipity. That's a nice word.
It's a good word. It's a good word.
So, let's talk about, based on this encounter thing, we need to work out why our players are going to be there. I think that, like, in order to make this one-shot broadly playable just as, like, a kind of out-of-the-box new team, but also, like, something that you can slot into a campaign, we kind of want them potentially invited there rather than, like, buying a house or, like...
Or car breaks down.
I mean, to be honest, you could all of those are valid hooks into the same adventure, right? It's just you've come across a house, because that's a great way to use a one shot. Is you have a base of operations in a new city where the next campaign's going to be, and it's haunted.
I think I think they should be they should be there because they're buying. One of them is buying an antique Sibian, and they need their friends to come and lift it for them into the van.
I mean, that's strangely specific.
That
Demi.
could also be it, but I don't think that should be the only reason. Yeah, no, that's fair. There are many different reasons that you could get a house. Also, this is my understanding of the genre, but we kind of probably also need to work out, is it fair to say that haunted houses usually are the site of some kind of historical trauma?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of what I was talking about, how you need like a slight motive, even if something that kicks it off, even if the actions of the spirits are kind of unknowable from that point on.
What if we said it in the future, in the decrepit Capitol building of the United States?
Yeah, I think that like one of the things that we have to decide is like I don't think it's satisfying to just be like, oh yeah, there's fucking ghosts up in here.
Yeah.
I think there needs to be a reason for.
But also not a reason necessarily that is connected, I would think, to the adventurers. Like, for instance, to think like in The Ring, there is a backstory of Sadako and
Frodo and Bilbo and
Yep.
Yeah.
So like something bad happened here hundreds of years ago that is being mixed up by the adventurers either arriving or renting the house or trying to purchase some kind of attractive fuck machine.
I agree. Socio Double has just come up with a great twist on this, which we don't actually need to. I think it's just a nice little reveal. Can it be haunted because of a tragedy that hasn't happened yet?
Why you gotta make the speculative fiction?
I mean, like, if it's in the past or the future, it doesn't matter because it's not the present. You know what I mean?
There are nodes in space-time. Well, there are nodes in space which are traumatized because of an act. That act is divorced from the timeline. So it doesn't matter.
And that act, but that act can be the fourth act.
Yeah, I mean, they could be haunting the house if you want to kill your players.
That's so confusing because then like bad things are gonna happen because of something that is gonna happen later, but it probably wouldn't happen unless these bad things were happening in the haunting. You know what I mean?
Now you got some House of Atreus shit going on. You got like. That's good. That's like pre-doomed, predestined to be doomed.
Can we take a step back and say, is this are we going to set it What world are we setting this house?
I think this works best when we just set it in the most likely genre, like meta genre for this genre.
Okay.
And then make it adaptable, basically.
Right.
If that makes sense.
So we'll think about it as being in a sort of fantasy world, but you could do this in the real world or...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it true that in most haunted house stories, the twist reveal is that the ghosts are not the villains, but it's actually a living person doing something crook which disturbs the ghosts
You're
in
thinking
some
of
way?
Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
You are thinking of Scooby-Doo.
I think that's
so
Scooby-Dooby-Doo,
if we could just...
Yeah. But
Scooby-Doo.
we could... Are you doing Sean Williams...
And that is James somebody
James
doing...
Aston Jones or whatever, doing drums.
Scooby-Doo. Anyway, we'll get there. We'll get to the reasons and stuff. But okay, quick. Just this is a round, Simon, that I invented in your absence called No Bad Ideas, where I'm going to ask you for a prompt, and you are going to, after 3, tell me an answer to that. Everybody's going to do it. Then I'm just going to pick the best one. Okay.
Okay.
So the question is.
Crunkphonicas wrote panties instead of panties. Sorry,
Why
everybody in the chat, can we see a panties?
Why does our adventuring party end up in a haunted house? 1, 2, 3.
It's an Airbnb that they booked online.
Dave?
The Ghostbusters.
They've been sent to bust the ghosts of the house?
Yeah.
So explicitly...
Number one adventure, the Ghostbusters.
Demi Lardner?
It's a home dentist.
Excuse...
I beg your pardon?
Sorry?
Huh?
It's a it's a dentist that works from home.
Right, so none of those are bad ideas, Ben. You have to pick one of those ideas.
I do have to... And I'm going to throw it over to the chat as well.
Can I change mine?
Sorry, yeah, you can change mine.
Yeah, it's a dentist.
Can I change mine? Pet dentist.
Can I take something from Crunkphonicas? Which is they've been tasked with breaking into the house to steal something, but it's haunted.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like Ant-Man.
Oh yeah.
I think that's good.
Yeah, that's good. So they're thieves. That's great. It's a thief story.
It's thief story.
Yeah, all
rogues.
Level 1, all rogue party.
And do you know what, Demi? Do you know what, Demi Lardner?
Yeah.
Do you know what?
Yeah?
You can there's a world in which this is also a dentist that they're breaking into.
Yay!
Okay, but
Stealing all his gold teeth.
Okay. All right.
So this is like, in the Dragon Friends version of this is like the Janos Mia character, whatever. It's like, you owe us money, you're going to do a crime for us. And you're going to go to the old house on the hill, and you're going to steal some kind of antique fuck machine.
Yeah, well...
And bring it back to
Or it
you.
could be a group of kids, kind of like that kind of thing of like...
You're going to steal a group of kids?
Well...
Let's steal a group of
A
kids.
group of kids, no,
Take them
you know.
somewhere nice.
Do it.
It's that nice trope of haunted houses of like it's a group of kids who are like
Baseball over the fence.
baseball over the fence, but are like we hear that like a rich old man lived there and that he had like a collection of porcelain cats that are going to work.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, so I'm actually going to break my...
Sorry.
Demi?
Crunkphonicas tried to write panties again, but they wrote panites. You gotta get it right once, motherfucker.
Okay.
You can't keep fucking it up. Sorry.
So here's I'm going to break one of the rules that I started with in saying this all has to be in the haunted house. I reckon they're passing through a village.
Yep.
And they get recruited, or maybe they're like, the DM can decide how they get there, but basically they're either like passing through and they get like, hey, can you do us a job? Or somebody actually sends them a letter saying my organization would like to hire you. They get to this little like backwater town. I think like good haunting stories spill into the town where like...
They corrupt the town.
They corrupt the town and people are weird and some people know stuff, some people don't.
Yeah.
So our first act is arriving in the town and meeting our employers. So who are our employers? I think like, you know, you and me, Dave, we tend to just like use Janos Mia as kind of like a quest trebuchet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We just kind of load him up and let him fly.
Point him vaguely in the direction of anyone who might be paying attention.
But I think that these people can be part of the story and potentially with ulterior motives.
Yeah.
So...
I think it should be a wealthy child.
Children, I really like and I think this is a really interesting idea. So can I pitch something? Which is basically what Simon said, which is, okay, you come to my house to play a one-shot.
You come to my house.
And you show, I want to play a rogue, I want to play a warrior, I want to play da-da-da. It's like, great, this is an origin story.
And you're like, this
met.
is my house.
And I put a gun on the center of the table. No. So you've all picked out your characters in whatever game format you're doing.
Yep.
And then I go, great, this is an origin of how you all met. when
Fun.
you were 8 years old.
Oh.
And this was the first adventure you ever had, and the adventure was the adventure to go into the old dark house.
And you all lived
end
in
of
the same
lane.
place?
Yeah. And then give me all your character sheets. Here's an 8-year-old version of you. You're not a ranger.
Taking
You're
half your points off everything.
Yeah, you're a kid who's got a toy bow. You're not a fighter, but you play baseball and you got a baseball bat. Like, I think that would be a fun, weird. I know it's very different to what we normally do. This is a specific.
No, I
level
like
1,
this.
But I think that could be real fun.
I like this. I think that we don't get the shock of the new, like with the new town and the new place. Like they kind of know everybody, unless they're like.
What if you're like a new kid in town and it's like a family, you're all siblings or something, you're moving into this town like close, like in age.
Yeah, I think that maybe like there's like some sort of like displacement that means that all these people have to move into this new town or something like that.
Yeah. It's your last week at summer school in a neighbouring town. You've all met, or summer camp or whatever.
Yeah.
And you've all met, and there's this rumour at the summer camp about this house, and you've snuck out of the camp to go and investigate it.
Or maybe the stakes are there's like a bully who has stolen your comic books or whatever it is and is like, you want it back? I want you to get me like the hands off the grandfather clock in old man Gilligan's, like
I almost think like
house.
the DM and the players can sort of fit it to what they're doing, but the idea is that you're children and this is your first adventure.
Yeah, and do you know what? It's where they grew up. They're kids. Like everything's new. They're going to discover parts of town that they didn't know existed. They're going to discover people they didn't.
Old enough as well, really, if you think about it.
It's not old enough. Not old enough. Friend of mine.
I think you guys should send me out on an older trip. I think you should give me some tasks.
A friend of mine had a very funny tweet the other day about sending her girlfriend. They'd both gotten high, and she'd sent her girlfriend out to get some ice cream, and halfway through, like telling her where to go because she's from New Zealand, telling her where to go around Sydney, she was like, "We're just doing old." I like this. So you take your adventuring crew, and you shrink them and make them. Can we say 12?
Yeah. You know age of kids. When I say 8, I don't know. What does that mean? They're having sex now?
Oh my god! What?
I don't really have a sense of what age kids are. Well, can they vote? Can they vote at 12?
Voting would have been better, I think. I think the next time you do that bit, you should go with voting.
I think it should be 12 to 14, I think.
Yeah, they're like.
Or it could be 13, because it's the evil spooky number.
Yeah, they're like teens, like
Old enough to be
preteens.
horny. For each other.
Let's just park that, shall we?
It's fun.
We're going to come back. Everyone in the chat, we're going to come back to how horny these teens are. But now it's important for you to know that they're trying to go into a haunted house.
So, okay, what's our first encounter? We tell our party that they are now. What's that?
Well, sorry, I didn't mean.
Demi gets that taken off her when she's here. Thank you.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, take it off
it's the
me.
bully thing. Isn't that a good first encounter? The first encounter is the bullies at the gate.
Yep.
Who've come to make sure you go into the house.
Yep.
Or
Well, we need the inciting incident to be non-house related. Like I like that they steal your fantasy baseball or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, they steal your baseball card that is worth $75.
Yeah, gold nuggets or whatever.
Or they've kidnapped your baby brother.
Too dark?
Dom.
they take something that your parents and one of your parents is gone in some way, and they gave you a gift, and the bullies find out that it's important to you, and they throw it over the wall of the weakest, most needs to be protected member of the party.
An antique Sibian.
It's an antique fucking machine.
I don't think we want to send children into a haunted house to get a sex toy.
They don't even know what it's.
They're not gonna know what it is.
They're just gonna think it's a sewing
some kind
machine.
of riding. It's gonna be some steampunk saddle.
I like the Hope Fox 17. I like the neatness of. I think Dave and Simon were saying the same thing of just throwing it into the house. But I want the first encounter, guys, to end with that. I don't want it to start with that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So I want, we've Muppet Babies the party.
Yep.
And they're all growing up in the same kind of area. They're all hanging out. What's an encounter that? How do we start the story?
Graveyard behind the house where the kids are trying to spook themselves, and the bully comes out and does an attack basically and takes steals the Ouija board, steals whatever it is, the items, the precious items that you've brought to contact. So you're trying to contact your grandma, so they brought grandma's necklace or something. So that's something that's got actual value that they need to get back there.
Oh yeah.
So there's kind of a rumble in the dark.
or it could be very specifically one of my memories, which is they're trying to take your dead dad's Tasmanian devil silk tie, which you really treasure.
But I think this is good, right? Like this is like it can be. I think that the GM just says like you've all brought something from a departed.
Oh, you're at like grief camp.
No!
You're like an adventuring
they're
lost
trying to-
camp.
It's kind of a
Seance,
Ouija board,
isn't it?
and it's like a fun thing to say to your players, like, okay, baby Filge, what keepsake do you have? Who are you trying to contact in the graveyard? Who are you trying to contact in the graveyard, baby Friezo?
Okay.
That sort of thing.
But is it just one person that gets their things stolen?
Probably everyone, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, there's a neatness to, like, it's in a sack, and they're doing the kind of Ouija crap, and then...
Everyone knows
Yeah,
the
yeah,
same.
yeah,
It's like
cool.
putting everything in a sack, shaking it up, and yelling at the stars.
Is there so is it going to be the type of thing where it gets because I was thinking like either it's good that it gets taken and they're like I'll give it back if you go do this fucking thing, or I was kind of thinking there's another version which is just like I've got this sack of important things that are important to you and I'm gonna huck it through the third story window of this fucking house so that they're just like it's not even that they have to bring something back to barter with like these bullies. It's just like you gotta go get it.
Yeah.
Or they run in there and you have to go after them. So that means the bully is now in the haunted house as well, which gives you something to play with later.
Well,
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
I think that the bullies can.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea, but the bullies can also chase them into the house because the bullies can have a plan that is that they don't actually think the house is haunted. So they have a separate plan, which is we're going to scare these kids. We're going to make them go in and get their stuff, and then we're going to sneak after them and ambush them in the house.
Love it.
But they don't realize, of course, is that the house actually is.
It's a classic
thing.
I was gonna say it's like the Three Amigos or Galaxy Quest, but it's not really, is it?
Classic Galaxy Quest.
It's a classic Galaxy Quest.
But the other thing that Demi said, which is just functionally for an adventure really clever, which is that if you hoik it into the third floor, lots of pathways there, but you now have a road to the end of the adventure because you're going to have to get in on the first floor, find your way to the second floor, find your way to the third floor, find the item. That's really
James
nice.
Brown said, get up, get on up.
He did say that. And I think that's a thing that we can all know.
And a solemn hot pants to all of us.
All right, let's talk about this. Is it literally just like you guys are there? Tell me about your special items. You start the seance, and then we just have like combat with a snotty-nosed bully.
Yeah, and it's a bit of a switcheroo, right? Because it's like exactly what you said. It's that one of you or all of you want to reach the other side because you have unfinished business with somebody who's dead, and you think that you're doing the ritual. You roll some dice, and then the bullies are
You hear some sounds going like, ooh, and you're like, oh, it's working. Right in the dick.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least one.
Get punched right in the dick.
Now, is there any way we can make the bully more interesting than just your central casting?
He's one of your big brothers.
80s assholes.
He's gone bad.
It's a gang, as many of the members as there are of the party, but one of them is definitely a big brother of one of the other ones, which is a nice twist.
Cool. Okay. I think that's good.
Yeah.
First encounter, we're doing some hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah, but it's fun because the people, again, are expecting a D&D adventure, but you're all basically using fists and baseball bats.
Yeah.
Roll to wedgie.
Yeah, roll to
Is
wedgie.
there anything about
Yeah.
this fight that can affect things later, or is it literally just you're
Yes,
going to get beaten
yes.
up?
Okay, hear me out. No, Simon, you had your hand up. Do you want to go?
Oh, no, you go first.
Okay, I was just gonna say because one of the I was just thinking of when I was kind of thinking of bully stuff and the things in horror that work really well with that kind of theme and including bullies and shit. And one of the scariest things about one of my favorite horror movies, the old version of It, not the book, because that had some stuff. Sorry?
They did make a book out of it.
They did. They made a book afterwards, but they included a bunch of. They included an orgy they shouldn't have.
I don't even think Stephen King has the cocaine excuse for that particular period.
He
Took the orgy scene out of Cujo and put it in.
So that there was also why were all the kids fucking in Cujo as well? It's every book. I
Odd
think
fella.
that the really scary thing to me about a lot of it was genuinely like the what would you call it? Like the ruthlessness of the bullying. And it's something that sticks with me. Like, it was almost when I saw it, like, as scary as this fucking murderer clown. It was just like, there's these guys they'll just like piss on you or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
there's something. I
Kids can be so cruel. We can. Thanks, Mum.
I can remember an article. I can't remember where it was about like 80s bullies and how like there are several movies where bullies just try and fucking kill you.
Yeah.
They literally just try and
like
fucking
the Lost
kill
Boys.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's not even done as like a prank. It's like these people are murderers.
Yeah.
I cannot let this pass because a lot of people are backing Mo up in the chat, and I think it would be a cool way to do it if our inciting incident man, the bully himself, is dead and doesn't know it. Like it.
Well, I mean, one thing that you could, if you want to be really, and this is maybe a bit railroady, is that you could create a fight with the bullies that if it goes very badly, they kill a bully and run into the house.
Oh yeah,
Sets you up.
Oh, I actually really like that that agency. I think that's really good. I think that we should have it that you can win, but the only way to win is to actually kill somebody, and then you run into the house. So you're taking refuge in there rather than having your shit thrown in there.
Yeah, and it kind of, and that also means that you open yourself up for a ghost bully, and there's the finale. The other thing that, when you're saying can there be consequences of fucked up creative things that bullies can do, they can destroy their weapons. They could have a pair of handcuffs. They could handcuff two kids together before they go into the house. You could give them a couple of things that they do.
instead of handcuffs, could it be like they force them into a finger prison?
I think it's right.
I mean, there's that scene in The Sixth Sense, which is, again, bullies, which is so fucked up. I always think about it, which is when the kid's scared that there's a ghost up the stairs in the room.
Misha Barton, no less.
Is that...
Yeah.
It's Misha Barton, yeah. Do you want to hear it?
Your Jar Jar Binks impersonation, please.
But then they take, what would be a fucked up thing for the bullies to do, which could be quite good, is that if they get the sense that these kids believe in...
Simon, I laughed a second time at that. You stupid fuck.
Sorry.
No, but just is there something that the bullies could do to make them more susceptible to ghosts?
Yeah, I think psychic fear, like psychic damage. That can, so the more scared a character gets early on, the more prone they are to fall for whatever spooky
And that could be
thing
fun,
is.
but I also mean intentionally as fucked up bullies.
Well, no, I like the idea that the bullies don't believe that the house is haunted. So, they're not doing anything intentionally to ghostify them.
Well, I kind of mean that because in The Sixth Sense, they didn't think the ghost was real. They're like, oh, you're scared of the room, and then they bundle him into the room and they close the door and lock the door.
Yes. Look, I think that just hoiking their shit over the thing and saying, go get it in Old Man McGillicuddy's haunted house that everybody talks about forever.
They could even, do a bit where they tell a story and then you roll to, believe or not.
That's fun.
So you get a little bit of setup for, the whatever the ghost is or whatever the people think the ghost is.
Do you know what I really like, but maybe this is just you and me, Simon,
I don't know what
our sort of bullshit, is I would like it if the first encounter began...
It's sorry, the lag is fucking me up. I keep interrupting you by accident.
No, it's okay.
No, never mind. I thought it was going to be, do you know what I really like, Simon, that might just be for you and me? What if we sucked each other off? I think that would be really good.
I mean, it could have gone that way.
Maybe it's just going to be that you and I like, but...
But can the encounter, can the game open with okay, you are now all 12 years old, you are in a cemetery trying to scare each other with spooky stories. I will award Dice of Inspiration for the best spooky story, and you throw to the players to tell their spooky story.
You can, but then
that will take a while, won't it?
Yeah. I mean, so it's a very non-traditional way to do it, but you could start. Is the idea then that the Pillow Man or something that the scariest story is going to be the
you can incorporate it, I guess.
It could be a little bit I heard that blah 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 blah. Well, I heard.
Oh yeah, that's fun. You're trying to scare each other about the house that's over there.
Yeah, I mean a way that
I
you could
think
do
you should
that.
one up each other.
Yeah.
In that conversation.
Maybe a way that you could do that, which would be fun, is you get them to do the stories, and then you have another character tell the story that is connected to the adventures, so that you actually can still use.
Yeah.
You can sort of drift into that. So it's like, well, they come up with their stories. You award a dice of inspiration, and then another character, the bigger brother, who you don't realize has betrayed you to the bullies yet, tells the story of Old Man McGillicuddy, the man with a haunted cock.
I mean, again, it doesn't.
No, but you get what I'm saying.
Sure.
And then he says, yeah, he lives
someone died in
upstairs.
his cock?
He's covered in glass that's taped to
like
him.
the boys.
So, he smashes globes and then he tapes the glass to his skin, and then all you can hear is the sound of the glass crinkling against itself when he's following you. Like whatever weird.
Yeah.
Well, that can even be the bully after he's hoiked the things through the third of a window. Is like, hey, and enjoy the haunted cock up there.
Well, I think that he should reference it.
Okay, here's what I like. And I'm making a decision because we're done with this.
We should take a break after this decision. Yep.
Yes. We've got 3 more encounters to go, but they're going to be simpler than this. Based on something that Grug just said, I really like. Oh, and congratulations, Grug, on starting a new job soon. Or maybe you left a job and now you don't have one.
In which case.
In which case. Ooh.
Bon appetit.
But I like the idea of using stuff that players come up with to generate sort of ideas for the story. I saw a really good version of that in this too, where they get the players to tell like stories of their the dinner host is like, regale me with your adventures, and each of the players has to tell them some cool thing that they probably did during the campaign, and then it becomes later on as part of the dinner entertainment something that a troupe of actors act out, which is a cute thing. So what I like is we start with an NPC, the big brother or whatever, who's about to betray them, say, well, I heard that like this house is blah, 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 that's something that's written, and then you encourage and ask all the players to come up with their own urban legend about the house. But here's the twist, which we can think about in the break, if it's even doable, but it was a good idea from Grugstan, which is the house is haunted in a kind of psychic way that feeds on legend and fear and imagination. So all the shit that these players are psyching themselves up to be scared of can actually manifest.
Yeah.
So it's like...
Sorry, I was having a kind of an idea that sort of lines up with that a little bit that I just had to make a note of. Because I was thinking like there could be a way that I don't know whether this fits into just like one encounter or whether it's just something in the DM's back pocket or whatever. But like the kids, the characters, or the players having like debuffs that feed into some kind of encounter. Like they hear your inhaler. You're about to fucking pass out. You use your inhaler at a inopportune time or whatever, or like. The hole in your pocket lets all your marbles fall out because you're a real marble freak.
Yeah, I think that GM discretion about like assigning each of your players like kid trope stuff that actually becomes gameplay relevant is good.
There might be a way of doing this, which is like is a trick basically. But if you have them go around, you're all kids, you're the dragon babies, and it's like, and you want to scare your big brother or whatever, so you decide to tell him the scariest story that all of you know, which is the story of Old Man McGillicuddy or whatever, and then I'm trying to think if there's a way that's going around, which is like, and you go to Alex and you say, like, what does he sound like when he's chasing you?
So you kind of Mad Libs it.
Mad Libs it. And in that way, because you're constructing the prompts, you can feed everything.
I think that's great. So it's not just tell me something. It's tell me this specific thing, tell me this specific thing, tell me this specific thing.
That's great.
They don't realize they're building the big bad.
You play it like it's a joke, and the great thing you do is you say like, and there's an inspiration die for the best offer. Yeah. So they all get into it. And then you fuck them with it.
Yeah, that's great.
In the manner of an antique Sibian.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take
forward and back around.
We're going to take a very, very quick break. Treat yourself to the toilet. Oh, like, you know what I just realised? Because of devices, these people could be pooing right now while we're talking to them.
Shout out in the chat if you are actively pooing right now.